Hi, this is for Kirk Minihane, the Boston reporter who said something that was very terrible regarding NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. Mr. Minihane, my name is Zenny Abraham. Right now I'm the executive producer of Zenny 62 Media and chairman and chief executive officer of Sports Business Simulations, two companies I started. And in particular with respect to SBS, I wouldn't have been able to start my companies were it not for the help of Roger Goodell, the commissioner, Joe Brown, executive vice president emeritus, and a number of people at the league, but most notably Commissioner Goodell. My relationship with Roger Goodell goes back a long way. It goes back to 1997 when Al Casal, then executive assistant for the Oakland Raiders, approached me because the Raiders wanted to reestablish the 49er Raider preseason game. The Raiders had just returned to Oakland from Los Angeles, but the Raiders, as it was explained to me by Mr. LaCasale, didn't want it to look like the Raiders were approaching the 49ers. So everything was behind the scenes. Mr. LaCasale and I met for lunch once a month, sometimes twice a month, at a great place on Park Boulevard, in Alameda, California, called Luigi's. Great pasta. Still there to this day. Mr. LaCasale taught me all the NFL politics I know and the foundation for how to operate within the league from a business perspective. The one thing that he told me is, I want you to get to know a man named Roger Goodell because they're grooming him to become commissioner. At the time, Roger's title was Executive Vice President for Football Operations. I was Economic Advisor to L.U. Harris, the Mayor of Oakland, California. Now, at Al Casale's behest, I contacted Roger, and like a number of other people, he could have said, I would be more comfortable talking with your boss, the Mayor of Oakland, and not you. I got that a lot. That wasn't Roger. Roger gave me the respect that was commensurate with my position as representing the mayor, and I got a great deal of guidance from him. A lot I can't share here. Then, when I was placed in charge of bringing the Super Bowl to Oakland in 1999, once again, Roger took time to talk with me, in this case about what his favorite Super Bowl was and why. It was the 1991 Super Bowl at the time because it was the Giants versus the Bills, and it was the end of the Gulf War, and it was the Americana and patriotism. The point that I'm making is that Roger Goodell never once, not once, made me feel less than or disrespected or unimportant. Now you could say, well, it's because you work for the Mayor of Oakland and he respects politics, and that's true. The NFL line, as established by Pete Rozelle, continued by now former NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue, and which remains with Roger Goodell, is that you are respectful of persons in politics, you understand hierarchy and protocol, and you treat everyone as nice as you possibly can. Now you might laugh at that because we're in a social media environment today that causes people to say very mean things to each other for no reason at all, or write them on Twitter or text for no reason at all if you really think about it. But even in this environment, in some circles, that still remains true. And I say this knowing that there may be some working for the National Football League now who are younger, who think the environment is somewhat different. But I say to you this as a momentary aside. Remember, be nice. Think of how the league is supposed to operate and what the commissioner is trying to do, and don't stray from that path. Now back to my point. Roger Goodell not only took time to talk with me about NFL stuff. When we first talked, we talked about his father. Roger, you know his father's story? Charles Goodell? The only Republican congressman to oppose the Vietnam War. We talked for about I guess, 40 minutes, something almost an hour about that on the phone. It's a fascinating story because I happen to have read about his dad prior to that. Not in preparation, just because I'm a political junkie, you know? When I was working on the Super Bowl and Commissioner Tagliabue scheduled a meeting with myself and then Mayor Jerry Brown, I had managed to transfer from one administration to the other. Although I wasn't Jerry Brown's economic advisor, I was stuck in economic development as some sort of funny floating position. But the point is, then Oakland City Manager, becoming Oakland Chief Administrative Officer Robert Bobb, put me in charge of the Super Bowl. And we got to a point where we were able to give a presentation May 5th of 2000 in New York in Commissioner Tagliabue's office. I came early to set up my tape, early to the old NFL headquarters on Park Avenue. They have a much swankier one now. And I didn't know what to do with this machine. It was huge and it was cumbersome, but I was determined to figure it out because I think I'm smarter than anyone else. All of a sudden, I hear this door kind of open on the side, and out steps Roger Goodell. And he helped me set up the tape. Didn't have to. Just said, hey, is everything okay? I want to make sure you're okay. That's Roger. Okay, that's Roger. Now, you would think that after my working on the Super Bowl, we lost to Jacksonville, the city of Oakland treated me like crap. Okay? In fact, I resigned because Jerry Brown wanted me to quit because I accused him of being racist. And for a set of circumstances I stand by today, but that's another story. And I said, you can't fire me. I quit. I put out a press release. The NFL saw how terrible the city of Oakland treated me, and they said, it was Joe Brown who said this, with Roger Goodell's backing, if there's anything that we can do for you, you let us know. And I said, I'd love to cover the Super Bowl. I started a blog network. I've covered the NFL draft for 10 years, and not once has Roger Goodell not said hello, come over to shake my hand, or ask me how I was doing. Never. Never. This is 2015. I've covered every NFL owner meeting this year, primarily because of my concern that Oakland is going to lose the Raiders. But that's another story. That treatment of me that I've experienced from Commissioner Goodell since 1997 continues to this day. He is a friend. If I ever needed help from a friend, he's one of the few people I'd call. So let me tell you something. Loyalty means something today. Friendship means something today. Good people mean something today. And maybe you don't like that Commissioner Goodell handled Deflategate a certain way. Or maybe someone else doesn't like how he handled the Ray Rice situation a certain way. I can pick out example after example after example. But what I ask you and others to stop doing is demonizing people for one decision they made among a myriad number that didn't cost life or death to either one person or many. That's not this situation. For you to suggest what you did makes it sound like it was. But you insulted my friend. And maybe there are other people who would say Roger Goodell is their friend but won't go to this length and express it. I don't care. Someone has to say something about Roger Goodell, the person, to the extent that they know him. And there are definitely people who know Roger Goodell even much better than even I do. I'm only talking about the fact that he has always been respectful to me, regardless of how my title has changed or life. Yes, I represented the NFL's key brand, the Super Bowl, from 1999 to 2001. But you would think after that, would say, okay, fine, we're done with you, and we don't really need to pay attention to you. No, that's not how Commissioner Goodell treated me, and that's not the NFL way. It's not the NFL way. So, apologize to Roger Goodell. It won't hurt you to do so. You were wrong. Maybe you got caught up in the moment. Maybe somewhere in the back of your brain, I don't know, you thought, oh, this is going to get me great ratings and a great write-up. That doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right. It only makes it wrong, it upsets people like myself. And it gives us all pause and makes us say, hey, you know what? What kind of society are we developing here where someone gets on a media program and makes a comment like that? That's horrible, man. But I just want to let you know, as face-to-face as I possibly can, that Roger Goodell is my friend. And I am demanding that you apologize to him right now. Thank you.